Hi everyone, today we're going to be making pom-poms out of yarn. If you have any extra yarn laying around, you could use this to create your planets. So I'm just using yellow because I'm just making the sun, very standard. But if you wanted to do two colors, you could take two colors and match them at the end and use two colors for directions that I give you shortly. So you're going to start with a skein of yarn. I am starting by putting the tail end in between my two middle fingers so it has a tail at the end, it has some room. And all I'm going to do is start wrapping my yarn around. I'm gonna make my fingers a little wider after the first or second wrap, so then I can have a bigger pom-pom because I want my sun to be bigger. So you are actually going to wrap this around about 100 times. So I'm going to quickly wrap this around. I'm still leaving the tail out, and I'm still leaving my fingers a little bit wider. Oops. So when your yarn is almost done being wrapped around your hand, I still have my tail sticking out, I am going to see it gets very thick. So from the side, you can see I've wrapped it around quite a few times. It's very wide, it's very tall now. I'm going to wrap it around a few more times so I have a nice thick pom-pom. There's no exact number, so if you wanted to do more wraps around, you could. So when I'm done wrapping around my hand, I have the skein of yarn is attached to this one piece, and then I have the tail. All I'm going to do is take my scissors and cut, leaving a little extra room. So you should have two ends. This is the tricky part. So I am going to keep this hole in the middle, you can see the hole, and gently remove it from my hands. So I'm still keeping the hole open, but I'm gently removing it and placing it down. If you would like to grab a separate colored piece of yarn, you can, or you could use the same color, but a separate piece might be a little bit easier to see. And I'm just cutting about, I don't know, half a foot, maybe 6 or 8 inches of yarn. So I have this piece of different colored yarn to keep it showing so it doesn't look like it's camouflaged with my yellow yarn, but you could use the same color. And all I'm going to do is wrap it around the middle. So right here, you can see it's right in the middle. So I'm going to put it at the bottom. So I'm just going to take my big ball of yarn, place it on top of my red piece, and wrap it around. I'm going to be gentle not to mess up the hole in the middle. So I'm going to tie it like a present. I'm going to tie it nice and tight. I want this to be nice and tight because you're going to be cutting this to create a pom-pom. And you can do any colors you want. You could do blue and green for the earth. You could do yellow and orange for the sun. You could do whatever colors you want. So once I've tied this, you'll see it looks tight, nice all around. And this is the fun and somewhat tricky and messy part. You are going to take your scissors and you're going to cut through the holes. So there still should be a hole here. You might have a little trouble at first getting through, but you can just push your scissors through and cut. you're going to cut on both sides so it creates a pom-pom. So I'm going to go very slowly. I'm going to take a few pieces at a time. I don't need to do the whole thing at once. My scissors wouldn't be able to do that. And there even might be some inside that you need to cut. So I'm reaching in. Oops. I'm just doing a few at a time. And it looks kind of wild at first, but we are going to give our pom-pom a haircut so it will look nice and even. All right, so I've got one side done. Now I'm gonna go to the other side. So it's the same thing. I'm gonna find the hole in the middle right here. And I'm just gonna start cutting a few pieces at a time. I think I missed one. I made a really big pom-pom, but you guys can make smaller pom-poms, and you also have smaller hands. So yours might come out a bit tinier. All right, I'm gonna go all the way across. I'm trying to get all of the holes. Let's see, make sure I got everything in the middle. Doesn't have to be perfect, because again, you're gonna trim it so it looks like a nice even pom-pom. All right, so I am going to fluff up my pom-pom, and it's going to be really messy now. So you might want to do this over a table or over a trash can or over something where you can clean it up. I have a piece of paper here so I can just lift it up and pour it into the trash can. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to go all the way around my pom-pom and just give it a nice haircut. So I'm going to be trimming it as I go. There's no special method. You just want to kind of see which ones are hanging out. And you want to trim it as you go. I can fluff it up again and see which ones are extra long. And see how you can see the red pieces? I can cut those out. I could even reach in a little bit and cut those so you can't see them, but I don't really mind if I'm making a sun. I don't mind having the reds and oranges and yellows and other warm colors. So I'm going to go around. This takes a little finesse. I'm just going to keep spinning it until I start to develop my pom-pom. And you guys can hang this from maybe an old hanger or a piece of cardboard, and you could create your solar system by hanging this up, or you could put it on a black piece of paper. And I'm almost done. We have a few stragglers. All right. It looks a little messy at first, but once you fluff it up and get all the little hairs even, it will look like a perfectly symmetrical pom-pom. And I'm gonna go in and cut these little red pieces a little shorter, just to show you. So I'm just gonna reach in and I'm gonna cut it close to the end, but not at the very end. And you have, after a big mess, kind of looks like grated cheese, You have your pom-pom. Mine is still a little uneven. I still need to give it a haircut. But you guys could create this for your project and create many of them to make all of your planets.